Hello, I'm Mr. Parker and this is question 3 on the OCR Core 2 paper from June 2010. For more questions on this exam paper, click the link here or check in the video description. Question 3. In part 1, we need to find and simplify the first 4 terms in the binomial expansion of 1 plus half x to the power of 10 in ascending powers of x. So in order to do that, we're going to have a look in the formula book and we find this formula here for the binomial series. So let's identify our value of a. It's the first term in the bracket and that's going to be 1. Our value of b is the second term in the bracket, in this case a half x. Our value for n is the power and that's 10. So before we begin our expansion, let's just have a look at what some of the things in this formula mean. We've got some basic powers. We've also got this bracket here where it says n and 1. Well, it tells us underneath how we could calculate that here, and we do n factorial over r factorial n minus r factorial. However, most modern calculators can do this for you. You probably want to look for the button that says NCR on it. It's called your choose button, and we'll get into the details of how to use that when we get into the question. So let's start our expansion. For the first term, we've got a to the power of n. So that's going to be 1 to the power of 10. For our second term here, we've got n1 in this bracket. That means n choose 1. And in this case, our n is 10. So we're going to do 10 choose 1. Multiplied by a to the power of n minus 1. So that's 1 to the power of 9. And we're going to multiply that by b in this case, which is a half x. For our third term, we're going to do 10 choose 2 multiplied by 1 to the power of 10 minus 2, which is 8, multiplied by b squared, so that's a half x squared. Now it's really important that you put this inside a bracket here because you are squaring all of it. You're not just squaring the x, you're squaring the half as well, and we'll get to that in detail when we simplify later. So we're looking for the first 4 terms. We've only done 3 so far, so we need 1 more. It's going to be 10 choose 3. Notice here how the powers of 1 are going down. There's a pattern to what we're doing. We've got 1 to the 10, 1 to the 9, 1 to the 8. This one's going to be 1 to the power 7. The powers of the half x in this bracket are increasing. We could think about there being a 1 there. So squared here is going to be a half x cubed. And if we carried it on, we'd have more terms, but we don't need to because we only want the first 4 terms. So let's simplify what we've got. 1 to the power 10, that's just 1. Now we'll have a look at how we do this 10 choose 1 on a calculator. So on the sharp model of calculator, I'm looking for this button here. You can see it says NCR. It's above the 5 key on this calculator. And to input it, I do 10. Then I press the shift and the choose button. And then I press 1 and it says 10C1 and that gives me 10. So I'm going to get 10 multiplied by 1 to the 9, that's just 1, multiplied by a half x. For the next one I need to do 10 choose 2 and that gives me 45. I'm going to multiply that by 1 to the 8, which is 1, multiplied by a half x squared. So to expand out this, I need to do a half squared, which is a quarter, and then x squared, which is x squared. So I get multiplied by 1/4 x squared. So it's really important at this stage, you don't just attach that squared to the x, you must apply it to the half as well. Next we need 10 choose 3. And that gives us 120. Multiplied by 1 to the 7, which is 1, multiplied by a half x all cubed. So a half cubed is 1 over 8. So we get 1 over 8 x cubed. Simplifying a bit further, we get 1 plus 10 times a half, which is 5, so 5x, 45 over 4. You could do this divide and get 11.25, that's just as acceptable in your answer here. And 120 divided by 8, that's just 15, so 15x cubed, and so on. So here is our expansion for the first 4 terms of 1 plus a half x to the power of 10. Part 2 says, hence find the coefficient of x cubed in the expansion of 3 plus 4x plus 2x squared multiplied by 1 plus a half x to the power 10. Well, in part 1, we did the binomial expansion for 1 plus a half x to the power 10, and we found the first 4 terms are this expression here. So we're going to use this to help us expand this. So what we're going to do is 3 plus 4x plus 2x squared multiplied by 1 plus 5x plus 45 over 4x squared plus 15x cubed, and so on. Because we only need the coefficient of x cubed, we're not interested in any more of this expansion, because if you think about the next term here, it would involve x to the power 4. And if we multiplied that by any of the terms in here, we wouldn't get anything involving x cubed. So we're not interested in x to the 4, x to the 5, and so on. If we expanded the whole of this bracket out here that we've got, we would get 12 terms. But we don't need all of those terms, and it will be a lot of wasted effort to expand that. So what we're going to do is identify which things will multiply together to give us a term that involves x cubed. If we started with the 3, in order to get a term involving x cubed, we would have to multiply that by the 15x cubed. If we start with the 4x, we would have to multiply that by 45 over 4x squared to get another term involving x cubed. And if we start with the 2x squared, we'd multiply that by 5x to get a term involving x cubed. So we only need to multiply out 3 terms in this bracket expansion to get the coefficient of x cubed. So we're going to get 3 multiplied by 15x cubed plus 4x multiplied by 45 over 4x squared plus 2x squared multiplied by 5x. If we simplify this, we get 3 times 15, that's 45x cubed, plus here we've got a 4 divided by 4, which will cancel out, leaving us another 45x cubed, plus 2 times 5, which is 10x cubed. Collecting like terms, we end up with 100x cubed. So the coefficient of x cubed is 100. Remember, coefficient is just the constant that you're multiplying the x cubed term by. So we only want the 100 for our answer. We don't want the x cubed in our answer.